service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now.
Is Ray still on his vacation? Oh.
See, that's what I need to
I
do.
went on a cruise. I can't remember where I went. I think he said he went on a cruise.
Ooh, I wish that was me.
Right?
I need to be on a cruise.
I took a cruise once. Long time ago. Are my ears mistaken, or do you say you never went on a cruise?
The time is 10 a.m.
Whenever you're ready, then.
Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Maddie, and I invite you to listen to our broadcast both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel, Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to broadcasts by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU subcarrier airwaves at 67 kHz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. Today I'm going to start us off with something a little light. Here is how to prepare for the annual birthplace of Route 66 Festival. This year is a big year for Route 66, which means it's also a big year for Springfield as the birthplace of the Mother Road. After hosting the national kickoff event for the Route Centennial celebration back in April, the Queen City is hosting its annual birthplace of Route 66 Festival, August 7th through 8th. As always, the two-day festival will include a classic car show, numerous vendors, live music, and daring motorcycle tricks down in downtown Springfield. At 6 p.m. both today and Saturday night, the festival will include an open cruise instead of the classical parade. It will proceed west on East St. Louis Street, north on National Avenue, east on Traffic Way Street, and south on Waverly Avenue. For the first time, custom car designer and TV personality Dave Kindig of Kindig Design will join the festival with Kevin Kevdog Scheel and the Kindig Big Rig on both days. Kindig Design from the TV show Bitchin' Rides will also display 3 custom-built vehicles, and the rig will include a full merchandise setup. Kindig and Scheel are scheduled to make stage appearances at noon on both days, but will also spend time at the Kindig display area. Several road closures downtown will be closed for the duration of the event. Park Central Square, Jefferson Avenue, and Water Street to Walnut Street and St. Louis Street from Campbell Avenue to Kimbrough Avenue will be closed beginning at 4 a.m. on Thursday, August 6th. You should be seeing those today as well. Starting 4 a.m. Friday, today, additional closures will also include Kimbrough between Traffic Way and McDaniel Street, St. Louis Street extending to the Jordan Valley parking garage, South Avenue up to Pershing Street, and Walnut Street between Patton and Jefferson Avenues. For more information and a full schedule of events for this weekend, please visit www.route66festivalsgf.com. And more news from Springfield News Leader. Missourians increasingly get abortion pills by mail from out of state. In the midst of navigating a turbulent divorce last year, Claire learned she was pregnant. It wasn't the right time for me to have a child, she said, who lived in Kansas City, and agreed to speak on the condition that she be identified by her first name only, citing concerns for her privacy and the charged political climate around abortion in Missouri. She stated, "I knew at that point that I did want to have children in the future." Claire is among about 3,200 Missourians who obtained medication abortions through telehealth from out-of-state clinicians in 2025, up from roughly 880 2 years earlier, a quadrupling as Missourians looking to end their pregnancies were forced to look elsewhere for broader options. The data was recently released by the Guttmacher Institute, the nation's leading reproductive rights research and advocacy organization. And here we have a picture of a box of mifepristone tablets, 200 milligrams, and then a bottle of the same medication. In 2025, Claire's local Planned Parenthood clinic, where she'd been a patient since she was 15, wasn't legally allowed to provide medication abortions. Fortunately, that changed in June following a Jackson County court ruling striking down dozens of abortion regulations challenged under the Reproductive Rights Amendment Missouri voters approved in 2024, overturning the state's abortion ban. But even after that ruling, Missouri's ban on in-state providers prescribing abortion medications via telehealth remained in place. Patients who want pills mailed to them without an in-person clinic visit must still turn to providers in other states. At the time, abortion was banned in Missouri with limited exceptions for medical emergencies. Claire said she still would have preferred to drive a short distance to see her doctor at her local Planned Parenthood clinic. "I wish that I would have been able to go to my doctor, someone that I've been going to for years at a clinic that I've been going to for decades," Claire said. "But of course, I was very relieved that I was not going to be forced to have a child that I wasn't ready to have. I was able to access what I believe is a human right." Medication abortion in Missouri is beyond. Medication abortion, which was approved by the FDA more than 25 years ago, has become the most common method for ending a pregnancy in the U.S., accounting for about 2/3 of abortion. It typically involves 2 drugs, the first, mifepristone, causing the embryo or fetus to stop growing and detach from the uterine wall, ending the pregnancy. The second, mifepristol, causes the uterus to expel the pregnancy tissue. Both medications are also used to treat miscarriages. Missouri follows a national trend of growing access to abortion pills through the out-of-state telehealth providers, said Isaac Maddow-Zimmett, a data scientist and the lead researcher on Guttmacher's monthly abortion provision study. But even as the number of medication abortions obtained through telehealth increased, the number of Missourians traveling out of state remained high. In 2025, 11,600 Missourians traveled out of state for abortion access, primarily going to clinics in Kansas and Illinois, down from 12,600 in 2023, according to the latest Guttmacher data. It's been true for a very long time that access to care in Missouri has had really significant obstacles, and because geographically there are sometimes clinics that are relatively close across state lines, there has long been a pattern of many Missouri residents traveling out of state, Matt O'Zimmett said. If anything, the big change in Missouri has been the increased availability of telehealth, which was not really an option pre-Dobbs. Matt O'Zimmett also compiled the latest statistics using data from abortion facilities and telehealth providers. The aggregate numbers do not capture how differently those barriers affect individuals. People are often left to navigate a really complex web of laws and react to things that are in the news that they might not have a clear idea about, he said. People shouldn't have to be paying extremely close attention to the news to figure out how they can access a really common reproductive health procedure. The shift in availability of medication abortion is tied to large part to states with abortion protections enacting stronger shield laws protecting doctors who prescribe mifepristone to patients in states with abortion bans, and more people are finding out it's an option. As mifepristone becomes widely used and available, anti-abortion lawmakers and prosecutors have pursued efforts to restrict access, particularly in states as Missouri, where telehealth abortion remains prohibited under state law. In Missouri, anti-abortion lawmakers have also for years proposed legislation aimed at preventing out-of-state providers from mailing abortion pills into the state. In 2022 and 2023, Republican State Representative Brian Seitz of Branson filed legislation that would have created a trafficking offense for anyone who imports, exports, distributes, delivers, manufactures, produces, prescribes, administers, or dispenses medication abortion in Missouri in violation of state or federal law. Neither bill ever passed the House, but states like Louisiana have attempted to extradite doctors in states with legalized abortion who prescribe medication abortion to patients in states with bans. This year, he helped lead the passage of the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. Though seats touched the bill's passage as a victory, the final version was substantially narrower than the one originally proposed. The earlier version would have opened the door to civil liability for people involved illegally self-induced abortions, including medication abortions. The language was struck from the bill in a deal with Senate Democrats who threatened to filibuster the legislation. But Seitz said restricting Missourians' ability to obtain abortion pills through telehealth from out-of-state providers will likely be a priority for anti-abortion Republicans next season. Missouri does need to protect its borders as far as this activity goes, Seitz said. I've always been supportive of the advancements in telehealth, but we're talking about the taking of a human life. The Guttmacher data shows that thousands of Missourians continue to obtain abortions despite the state's restrictions. Seitz said lawmakers should also focus on policies that make it easier for families to raise children. If we're going to have a cultural life, then we need things that could make it easier for the Missouri family to survive. And we can do that as a legislature. At the same time, Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway continued her procedures legal challenges to medication abortion, including a challenge to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's 2025 approval of a new generic version of mifepristone. Missouri is also the lead plaintiff in a major federal lawsuit seeking to limit access to the drug. Missouri's common sense health and safety regulations protect women from the threats of dangerous mail-order abortion drugs prescribed by out-of-state clinicians, a spokesperson from the Attorney General office said in a statement reacting to the Guttmacher data. We have already filed an appeal with the Missouri Supreme Court seeking to reinstate these protections for women. The Attorney General's office has repeatedly argued that mifepristone is dangerous to women, an assertion echoed by U.S. Senator Josh Hawley and other anti-abortion officials at the federal level. Hawley frequently cites a 2025 study from the Ethics and Public Policy Center as conservative think tank that found serious complications from mifepristone are much more common than FDA reports. Critics, including medical professionals, have also studied the flawed and politically motivated. The paper concluded that 1 in 10 people who have mifepristone experience a serious adverse event. The FDA states that mifepristone is safe to use if taken as directed through through 10 weeks of pregnancy, citing serious adverse reactions in less than 0.5% of women who take the medication. Bleeding and cramping are expected side effects. More rarely, there can be hemorrhaging and infection. Those prescribed mifepristone are urged to call their doctor if they experience heavy bleeding, abdominal pain, or a fever. This guidance also applies to those who recently underwent surgical abortions, experiencing miscarriages, or delivered a baby. In November, Missourians will vote on whether to repeal the current Reproductive Rights Amendment and replace it with a ban on abortion with limited exceptions for medical emergencies and pregnancies resulting from rape or incest. And also from Springfield News Leader, a defendant to serve 4 life sentences for role in Chavez Nguyen's murder. Another man has been sentenced for his role in November 2023 shooting that killed Chavez Nguyen and injured his pregnant girlfriend, Haley Frillman. Cortez Washington was sentenced Wednesday, August 5th, and will serve several life sentences with additional 4 7-year sentences. Nguyen, 26, was a passenger in a car driven by his girlfriend, who was at the time 29 weeks pregnant, on a November 2023 evening on Grant Avenue near College Street when he was shot and fatally killed after a vehicular pursuit. He was a father with another child on the way and son to parents who owned downtown restaurant Lucky Time. According to previous news leader reporting, his death sparked a local rally and prompted city leaders to promise to do more to address gun violence. And here we have a photo of Cortez Washington hanging his head very low as he listens to the victim impact statements from those close to Chavez. Washington was one of 5 men arrested in relation to the shooting. The first of the defendants in the case was sentenced in February after the case went to trial. Another defendant in April accepted a plea deal that required him to testify in criminal cases involving other defendants. After Washington's trial, another defendant pled guilty to second-degree murder and assault in the first degree and was sentenced to a total of 35 years in prison, the lightest sentence thus far. In May, a jury found Washington guilty on all 8 counts, and he was charged with including first-degree murder, assault, several counts of armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon. The jury recommended the maximum sentence on all 8 counts. On Wednesday, Greene County Circuit Judge T. Todd Myers invoked the sentence recommended by the jury, which included 4 life sentences and 4 7-year sentences. Assisting prosecuting attorney Joshua Harrell showed a presentation noting that the act of violence that released a hail of gunfire on Frillman's car was a heinous, brutal, unprovoked random killing. He noted the bullets fired by Washington had a high likelihood of being the ones that have actually ended Nguyen's life, and played songs created by Washington after the shooting that referenced the shooting. Harrell asked for the sentence to run consecutively, emphasizing that every shot deserves a response. Every shot requires justice. Frillman and her mother, Sarah Summers, both provided victim impact statements that emphasized the life Nguyen led as a father, brother, son, and a friend. Both women called for Washington to receive the maximum sentence and send a message to these random violent acts will not be tolerated. Frillman said that while the court has seen the facts of the case, it has not seen parents, siblings, children, friends, and others who love Nguyen continue to grieve and be affected by the tragedy. She shared her own experiences of living with the trauma of the shooting and parenting a child who only knows his father through photos and videos. And here we have a very devastating photo of Haley Frillman as she returned to her seat in the courtroom gallery after testifying the impact of the murder of Chavez Nguyen, her boyfriend, and the father of her child. You didn't see the innocent life that was taken. You didn't see the loving father who was excited to have another son on the way, Frillman said. You didn't get to see his smile, his laugh, or the joy he brought into every room he entered. You didn't get to see how much he truly loved his life. Tom Nord, an attorney representing Washington, asked the judge to allow the sentences to run concurrently, noting the defendant was 18 years old when he committed the crime and that regardless, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Washington himself, too, pleaded for the judge to run the sentences concurrently. Regardless of the fact if you run it concurrently or consecutive, I have no hope. But if you're running consecutive, then I have no hope on top of no hope, on top of no hope, on top of no hope, plus extra years. Ultimately, Meyer sentenced Washington to serve 4 life sentences plus 28 years consecutively. At the start of the hearing Wednesday, Washington expressed wanting new counsel for an appeal to the case. Criminal proceedings are still unfolding for the last defendant, Arshawn Bradley. His trial will be scheduled for September. And here we have some local news. Missouri History grants offers up to $1,000 for projects. The State Historical Society of Missouri is accepting applications for grants of up to $1,000 to help cultural heritage institutions preserve local history collections and expand public access to historical materials. The funding opportunity is open through September 15th, according to a community announcement. The one-year grant cycle begins in October, and a maximum of $15,000 will be distributed through the Richard S. Brownlee Missouri Local History Grant Program. The grants recognize Richard S. Brownlee, a former executive director of the State Historical Society of Missouri, who helped grow the organization's collections of newspaper, reference materials, manuscripts, and artwork. Brownlee Local History Grants are an opportunity for local historical societies and cultural heritage institutions to preserve and provide access to their valuable collection. Gerald Hirsch, Associate Director of the State Historical Society of Missouri, said in this announcement. Grant funding may be used to preserve local historical recordings, including the purchase of archival supplies for storing or displaying personal papers, photographs, maps, and other historical materials. Funds cannot be used to preserve federal, state, or local government documents. The program also supports educational and public programming initiatives that promote local history, as well as training related to the preservation of historical records. Missouri cultural heritage institutions that are members of the State Historical Society at the silver level or higher are eligible to apply for this. Preference will be given to local historical societies, according to this announcement. Applications for the 2026-27 grant cycle can be submitted online at shsmo.org. Here we have Missouri's early education system ranked one of the worst in U.S. Planning to enroll your child in pre-K or kindergarten for the first time? If so, you're probably curious as to how Missouri's early education system compares with the rest of the country. Personal finance company WalletHub recently released a study examining the states with the best and worst early education systems. Unfortunately for Missourians, the state's early education system was ranked one of the worst in the United States. Here's why WalletHub ranked Missouri's early education system so low, especially when compared to neighboring states. Missouri ranked 50th among the 50 states on the District of Columbia in WalletHub's ranking, with only Indiana faring worse. In its analysis, WalletHub used 12 metrics, including preschool enrollment, pre-K quality standards, and child care affordability, to determine each state's overall score. Those metrics were then grouped into 3 categories: access, quality, and resource for economic support. Missouri scores were all well below average across the board, and the state ranking dead last in resource and academic support and near the bottom in quality. Access was ranked at 29th, quality was ranked at 47th, and resource and academic support was, as you guessed it, ranked 51st. As much, Missouri's early education system earned a total of 32.98 out of 100. All 8 Missouri's neighboring states fared better in WalletHub's study, and here's where they ranked. Arkansas ranked 2nd, Nebraska ranked 10th, Illinois ranked 13th, Kentucky ranked 14th, Oklahoma ranked 16th, Tennessee ranked 21st, Iowa ranked 27th, and at the lowest, Kansas ranked 28th. When will summer my apologies. Under Missouri law, public schools cannot start class earlier than 14 calendar days before the first Monday in September. For the 2026-2027 school year, the earliest legal start date is August 24th. All right. Here we have Mark Watson, Missouri State football's first general manager. From negotiating with agents to overseeing the Bears roster, Missouri native holds key role in money-driven climate. And here we have a photo of the new executive director of football, Mark Watson, smiling proudly while taking his new gig after practice on Wednesday, August 5th. And he is standing on the green field, and we can see a little bit of Missouri State campus in the background as well. Considering his 14 years of wide-ranging Division I coach experience, Mark Watson is still getting used to his current distinction as general manager. Until recently, the title of GM has relatively foreign in the college football ranks, but the introduction of name, image, and likeliness and the continued professionalization of the NCAA athletics led to the inevitable NFL-like front offices. Watson, who spent the past 2 seasons as the general manager at Kent State after time as a running back coach and recruiting coordinator, accepted the same position at Missouri State earlier this year. He is the program's first. Watson oversees the Bears' current 104-man roster negotiation with agents, keeps tabs on ever-changing eligibility rules, helps identify recruiting needs, and monitors his team's total revenue share budget as he talks money matters with the current and potential players. In today's money-driven landscape, Watson holds a key administrative role within the program, one he never thought he'd have during his former Missouri Southern running back's time as an assistant in Southern Illinois, South Dakota, Drake, Western Illinois, and USC. Now married and a father of 4, the 2005 Francis Howell grad serves as the right-hand man to the new MSU head coach, Casey Woods, as they work to produce and retain another difficult pursuit in the FBS group of 6 ranks, a roster that can compete for a Conference USA championship. Working with an undisclosed NIL budget that Woods said likely ranks in the bottom third of the CUSA, albeit substantially improved from a year ago, Watson and staff have had to be resourceful and trust their ability to identify and develop talent. Watson recently spoke to the Daily Citizen about some of the nuances of his position as the Bears enter their sophomore FBS season. Mark Watson, Coach Woods, and I have a process. We sit down and talk about what we want to spend per position group and where we evaluate and put a value on a kid. It can be difficult to manage, but it's a fun process. You have some kids who have unrealistic expectations about themselves, and others are very realistic and just want to play ball. It's all about finding the right fit and finding the right people who fit us here. I have many hats and manage a lot of things and make sure the team is taken care of. It's fun juggling, and I think down the line the NCAA rules and things like that will start cleaning up the process. And then the Daily Citizen asks, what is it like dealing with the agents who represent college athletes? A college athlete openly having an agent negotiate on their behalf seems unthinkable back when you played. And Mark Watson replied with, it's really just negotiations. They'll be like, this team is offering this player, and this other team is offering him this. And you just try to meet in the middle. There's a lot of really good agents out there, though, and it's about building relationships with them. If they trust you and you trust them, they will continue to send you good players. Daily Citizen asks, so are there obviously guys on this 104-man roster who earn more than others? Well, it's obvious which positions are probably most expensive, which ones, besides quarterback, have the highest price tag. And Mark replied with, at our level, obviously the quarterbacks, but also offensive tackles and defensive ends are pretty much the highest paid right now. Daily Citizen asks, how active are you in the recruiting process? Does Woods have you make calls to communicate that you can offer them money-wise? Mark responds, yeah. Some of that is me, but it initially starts with the position coaches. Then they bring those recruits to Woods and me. If they have the agents, I am the one talking to the agent. Daily Citizen asks, what else are you usually doing during the day? Mark said, recruiting, player development, roster retention. I have a coaching background as well, so I sit in on the meetings with the staff to get a good idea of what to look for in these position groups. You have to do a good job of finding players and tailoring the recruits to different sides of the ball to make sure they fit schematically. Daily Citizen asked, what made you leave the longtime FBS member, Kent State, to come to Missouri State, which is still adjusting to the transition? Mark responds, obviously, being a Missouri guy, and then also being from the Missouri Valley Conference, I've coached against Missouri State a lot. And I've always said that this is a place that's ready to blow up. Once we have consistency, this town is ready to blow up and give full-blown support to the Missouri State football. Alignment is also important. From President Richard B. Williams to Athletic Director Patrick Ransel and Coach Woods, I align with Coach Woods and we hit it off since our first conversation. I also want to get back closer to home for recruiting. I feel like I can make an impact in the state since I am from the St. Louis area. Daily Citizen asks, when fans think of GMs, they still often think of those in the professional ranks, like John Schneider or of the Seattle Seahawks. Is this a path you want to keep pursuing, perhaps get into the NFL GM type position, or do you just want to get into more of a hands-on coaching role? Mark responded with, I go back and forth. Whatever God has in store for me, that's what I will do. Right now, in this time of my life, this is what God wants me to do, and where I need to be, or where He needs me to be to make an impact, that's what I'm going to do. And the last question that Daily Citizen asked, since getting here earlier this year, do you believe MSU has helped you get the things you need from an NIL revenue share standpoint to do your job effectively? And then Mark's final response was, yes, it's been a big improvement since I set foot on campus. There are still things we need to do to improve upon, but we're full steam ahead. We're knocking down doors to make this the best FBS program in the state of Missouri. And here we have Springfield man who attempted to buy University Heights home with a forged check sentenced to prison. While out on bond for forging a $450,000 check to buy the house, prosecutors say 67-year-old Terry Heitman continued forging checks and then fled from the police. And here we have a photo of Terry Heitman not looking very happy across that gray cinder block wall. He has quite a mad expression on his face. The Springfield man who attempted to buy a $450,000 home in the University Heights neighborhood last year with a fraudulent check admitted to his crimes and was sentenced to prison this week. On Monday, August 3rd, Terry Maureen Heitman, 67, pled guilty to 2 counts of forgery and 1 count of aggravated fleeing, all Class D felonies. As part of the plea agreement, the prosecutor dropped 6 forgery charges and 1 count of attempted stealing. In accordance with that agreement, Judge Jerry Harmison sentenced Heitman to 7 years in prison for each charge, with those sentences to be served concurrently. Heitman, described in court documents as a career criminal with an extensive history of fraud spanning 46 years, provided a fraudulent cashier's check in 2024 for $450,000 to try and purchase a home located at 806 East Linwood Street. And he was charged with more crimes while out on bond. While he was out on bond in the fraudulent $450,000 check case, Heitman racked up more charges. Court documents show a Greene County assistant prosecutor filed a motion to rearrest Heitman on June 1st and charged him in another case with forgery. According to the probable cause statement for more recent forgery charge, Heitman brought his 2017 Audi to Auto Technics Import Service in Republic for a scheduled service appointment on March 23rd. Heitman returned to Auto Technics on March 27th and allegedly presented a check from Cadence Bank for $1,095 to pay for the repairs to the vehicle. When Auto Technics attempted to deposit the check, it was returned with the following information as unlocated account. An investor with the Republic Police Department contacted Cadence Bank and was told Heitman did not have an account there and that the checks was worth nothing. A search of online court records revealed Heitman was also charged in January with the classy felony of passing a bad check in Christian County. Though the probable cause statement for this charge does not contain much information about what investigators believe happened, it states that Heitman wrote a check for $4,196 to Exclusive Auto in Ozark. According to the Christian County probable cause statement, the check was returned from the bank marked unable to locate. With 2 felony warrants for his arrest, Heitman attempted to flee from a Springfield police officer on June 16th, according to the court documents. According to the probable cause statement written by the officer, Heitman drove his black Audi off of a high rate of speed when the officer attempted to stop him. The officer spotted Heitman's Audi parked in a driveway and observed Heitman walking away from the car. The officer told Heitman to stop, but Heitman continued to walk towards the residence. When the officer attempted to put Heitman in handcuffs, Heitman tensed up and pulled away. He was eventually taken into custody and booked into the Greene County Jail. In court filings, Assistant Greene County Prosecutor Kimberly Pulley wrote that Heitman has an extensive criminal history of fraud, with not just state, but federal convictions spanning 46 years. The prosecutor then listed Heitman's convictions, which began in 1979 with passing a bad check. He's also been convicted of numerous times for forgery and fraudulent illegal use of credit cards. In 2019, he was convicted of misappropriation of funds of elderly nursing home residents. Heitman has also been remanded to the Department of Corrections numerous times, the prosecutor wrote. As Heitman was led out of the courtroom Monday, defense attorney John Peacock patted him on the back and said, "Take care of yourself, Terry." And a new project aims to add sculptures to the Springfield roundabouts. Arting Around is a public-private partnership that will install its first 4 sculptures in spring of 2027. And here we have a photo of the roundabout at Galloway between Sequoia Park and All Saints Anglican Church. There are 13 roundabouts in the Springfield area. Many of them just sit there, barren and boring, as drivers circle them en route to their destination. Aaron D'Anastasio, Executive Director of the Hatch Foundation, is part of a multi-partner public art initiative that wants to change that. Plans for Arting Around are in the early stages, with designs on placing sculptures in the center of 4 different Springfield roundabouts, 1 in each Springfield City's council zone, with more coming in the future. The first round of sculptures could be placed as soon as spring of 2027. It all started with conversations between D'Anastasio and her good friend Winter Kinney, president and CEO of Community Foundation of the Ozarks, and officials with the city of Springfield. "We were talking about some projects throughout the community," D'Anastasio said. "We started talking about corridors throughout Springfield and what are some unique opportunities that would truly be throughout the city. What are some different ways that we could bring some new beautification to the area, and so we started talking about roundabouts." It's a subject D'Anastasio knows at least a little bit about. The Hatch Foundation helped fund the native plants in the roundabout at Glenstone Avenue and Republic Road. And then the idea just started rolling, if you will. The next in a series of Arting Around drop-in community workshops is scheduled for 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. August 11th at Sequoia Elementary. An online survey is also available through the end of August. Let me get you that link as well if you'd like to go and vote. Oh, it is a Google document. If you have further information, you can visit www.sculpturewalkspringfield.org. I'm sure if you reach out to them at their email at sculpturewalksgf, they would be able to help you locate that document. And here we have large-scale sites. The target sculpture size is between 15 to 20 feet, max height 25 to 27 feet. And it looks like these are the first wave of Arting Around Sculpture Walk. Springfield Executive Director Bridget Bitchell gathered these examples of large-scale roundabout sculptures from other communities. So here we have one from Bend, Oregon called Gilded River, and it looks like a metal sculpture, and it's resembling that of a maple tree. And then we have one called Polly. It's in Sarasota, Florida. It's a giant blue sculpture that's very abstract and organic looking. And then we have one called the Traffic Light Tree in London, UK. And it is a green tree-like sculpture, and it's filled with a bunch of different little traffic lights blinking all sorts of red, green, and yellow. The City of Hatch Foundation and CFO are teaming up with the Neighborhood Advisory Council, Springfield Public Schools, and Sculpture Walk Springfield for the initiative. We really wanted to encourage collaborations throughout the city, D'Anastasio said. We talk about public-private partnerships a lot, but it's not necessarily practiced very often, I don't think. That's where the idea kind of came into play. We didn't want to be zone-specific. Sculpture Walk is acting as the figurehead for Arting Around, that nonprofits has put up sculptures across the city, particularly focused on downtown. Those sculptures are largely placed on sidewalks, however. There's a whole different set of ordinances and rules about sculptures and monuments and trafficways, which I did kind of learn about last year, Bridget Betchel, Executive Director of Sculpture Walk Springfield, said. Nothing can be more than like 25 feet tall because we have to make sure that it can't fall into the street, which I never thought about. If the sculpture falls, you have to make sure it can't land on the street. You also have to make sure that the line of sight is not obstructed to a certain point. There are also emergency vehicles to consider. Some of the roundabouts we legitimately cannot put a sculpture in there because a fire truck cannot get around it, D'Anastasio said. So there's definitely been some education with this. Vetchel said plans for arting around and traffic calming measures into consideration and will work to dissuade pedestrians from crossing dangerously into the middle of the roundabout. We don't want anybody to be confused or concerned or driving distracted, Betchel said, but if you're approaching something and you're in the moment and you're focused on what's in front of you, you're going to be more attentive to your surroundings. And another place that will have one of the four initial sculptures will be on the Grant Avenue Parkway near Parkview High School. It'll be one of the areas in the first phase of Arting Around. The Arting Around group has identified 4 locations for sculptures in this first round of installations. So there will be Zone 1 at the Woodland Heights near Reed Academy, Zone 2 in Oak Grove, just south of Oak Grove Avenue and East Catalpa Street, Zone 3, which is over by Fast Night, on South Grant Avenue near Parkview High School, which was pictured above, and Zone 4, which was also pictured above, in Galloway, adjacent to the Sequoia Park. The roundabouts in Zone 1 or 2 are smaller and will receive smaller sculptures. Betchel said the roundabout in Zone 4 is one of the biggest, but it has the smallest buildable space because of its rock perimeter. The Hatch Foundation and CFO are the 2 main benefactors of Arting Around through Betchel, though Betchel said the group is still seeking more partners. The cost for roundabout for Phase 1 is about $10,000, and that could change in the future. And here we have a photo of Arting Around small-scale sites, and those target sculpture sizes will be between 6 to 8 feet, and with the max height of 12 to 14 feet. And we have a couple of examples here. We have the Passiflora Incarnation from Coral Gables, Florida, and it looks like a beautiful floral, metal floral sculpture. And then we also have the faces of Elysian Valley in Los Angeles, California, and those look like stone, and they have little carved faces, and they're very oval. And then we also have Les Caguiles de Lorignac, a 6-foot sculpture, and it is in Lorignac, France. What will these sculptures look like? That's where the community comes in. Through the online survey and in-person workshops, Arting Around is seeking input. We want people to feel that they have had a stake in it and that they're being heard, Betchel said. We want this to be something that reflects them. But not necessarily, literally, what organizers are looking for is not mascots for each neighborhood, but rather the feelings of those neighborhoods evoke in their residents. We're asking people when you're driving home at the end of the day and you're tired and you come into your neighborhood and you see this sculpture, what are you hoping that it invokes? What are you hoping to see? It is something that makes you marvel at the world, or do you want to see something that makes you think that you're, that's a big word, infinitesimal? Or do you need to see something that's going to give you a laugh? And each neighborhood is going to have a different feeling about that. Each roundabout sculpture will get its own request for qualifications, and all 4 could be done by different artists. Each RFK will include scanned versions of the postcards filled out at the community workshops, as well as survey results to help the artists conceive their sculptures. Finalists will provide a few different concepts to arting around, and a committee will choose the winners. That committee will include delegates from the Hatch Foundation, CFO, Springfield Public Schools, and the Neighborhood Advisory Council. Each zone gets its own selection committee. And Public Works, of course, is heavily involved. Betchel said, "We will work with them as far as installation goes and any necessary things. They'll check all of the finalists and proposals and feasibilities and structural soundness." And it looks like those workshops, online surveys will continue through August. Future community workshops will be announced on Sculpture Walk Springfield's website and Facebook page. Both Betchel and D'Anastasio encourage the public to get involved in the process. Our goal really is for this to be a community-wide opportunity where each roundabout is going to be focused on. So we're starting with 4, the idea that we'll have one in each zone, kind of spreading the love, but we really want the community to have a buy-in. It really is supposed to be an initiative that helps with your own neighborhood's identity. We're really excited to see what comes out of it and what is exciting to different areas throughout Springfield, different neighborhoods. I think it can really help bring some ownership and some pride. And we are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other informative material, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. Today we have the clock tower goes up at Ozarks Tech New Student Union. Grand opening for the Michael L. Parsons Student Union is set for 1 p.m. Wednesday, August 12th. And here we have a photo of the grand clock. Workers installing turf on August 3rd around a newly installed clock tower on the campus of Ozarks Tech. Oh, and in the background it has their new student union. It is a large concrete building with very tall windows as well. I also saw some photos the other day about some of the food options in there, so I'm sure the students will be excited about those new options. A new structure shadow will mark time like a sundial across the Ozarks Technical Community College campus, similar to the faces of its 3 clocks. Last month, workers installed the Judy and Mike Breeding Clock Tower near the Michael L. Parsons Student Union. The tower is part of the David and Stacy O'Reilly Auto Parts Plaza, an area that will serve as a gathering space with seating and a green space. The clock tower, assembled as one piece, was hoisted into place on July 30th using 2 cranes, according to a post from the college's Facebook page. Designed by Dake Wells Architecture, it was made at Trinity Companies USA in Rogersville. Using about 20 tons of stainless steel, several Ozarks Tech alumni were involved in its creation, according to the post. The clock tower will be available for a close-up inspection during a grand opening and ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Parsons Student Union. The event has been set for 1 p.m. Wednesday, August 12th at the Springfield campus located at Chestnut Expressway and Sherman Avenue. Former Governor Michael Parson will attend the ceremony, according to a press release. It was named for him in recognition of his efforts while governor to secure $46 million in state funds for the building. Afterward, tours of the building will be given. The new student union includes a food court, library, writing center, fitness center, bookstore, and more. The new building, shorthanded as the U, completes a design plan for making the Springfield campus more inviting and friendly for students. The development of a new strategic plan has begun at the college. Building Our Future Together is at a preliminary phase where members of the public are asked to give feedback about the college's direction and answer the question, what should Ozarks Tech do next to support and strengthen the region? The college has been taking suggestions at a booth at the Ozarks Empire Fair. Open houses are set for the Republic Education Center on August 11th and the Springfield campus on August 19th at the Richwood Valley campus on August 29th. New CW show The Great American Road Rally to film at Springfield's birthplace of Route 66 Festival. Fans can meet with the celebrity drivers and see the Batmobile during a meet and greet session on August 7th today. Mark Ambrose and his son Eric of Springfield admire a 1926 Hupmobile Model A sedan parked on Park Central Square during day one of the birthplace of Route 66 Festival in Springfield, Missouri. Today, Friday, August 8th. 2025. This was a picture from last year, my apologies. And then a sign next to the car indicated that the owner's plan is to drive at the length of Route 66 to mark the road and the car's 100th birthday. And it is a beautiful shade of green, and it has black accents as well. A new show debuting on the CW this fall will film in Springfield on August 7th today during the annual birthplace of Route 66 Festival. The Great American Road Rally will showcase Springfield as part of a cross-country journey along historic Route 66 during the centennial celebration of the Mother Road. The Celebrity Road TV show is hosted by actor Ian Ziering, best known for his roles as Steven Sanders on Beverly Hills 90210 and in the Sharknado film series. Springfield continues to attract storytellers who want to share our community with audiences across the country, Andrea Copeland, Vice President of Marketing for Visit Springfield, said in a media release. Every opportunity to showcase Springfield on a national stage helps introduce new visitors to our destination. We hope viewers are inspired to experience Springfield's Route 66 story and discover the places and people that make our community a must-visit destination along the Mother Road. The Great American Road Rally will take audiences on an adventure along America's most iconic highway as celebrity participants tackle unique challenges, share personal stories, and spotlight charitable organizations making an impact across the country. The celebrities are not named in the media release, nor are they listed on the show's website. The stop in Springfield is timed to coincide with the city's annual celebration of Route 66 and its role in the highway's history. Festival attendees will have the opportunity to meet celebrities from the Great American Road Rally during a special meet and greet on August 7th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. in the parking lot across from Hotel Vandervoort downtown next to the Shot Shack. The free public event will feature 3 or 4 recognizable vehicles from popular TV shows and movies, including the Batmobile and the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine, along with opportunities to meet celebrity drivers from the series. Number registration or sign-up is required. Cast members from the Great American Road Rally will also make appearances throughout the birthplace of Route 66 Festival. The Great American Road Rally premieres on September 2nd at 8 p.m. on the CW and will air Wednesdays through November 25th. The Great American Road Rally was created to celebrate the American spirit, the open road, and the legacy of Route 66 and the power of entertainment to bring people together for something meaningful, Ziering said in a media release. It's so much more than a road trip series. It is a national celebration of community, generosity, American culture, and the charitable spirit that connects us all. SPS hones in on literacy. opportunities for students in 2026 to 2027 school year. SPS Superintendent Granita Lathan highlighted a new district-wide literacy initiative and opportunity expansion for students in her annual State of the Schools speech. And here we have a photo of her in a black blazer and green blouse, smiling and talking on stage during her State of Schools speech. Springfield Public Schools is honing in on a literacy at key grade levels with its new 417 Reads initiative this school year. Superintendent Granita Lathan announced the program during her annual State of the Schools speech Thursday, August 6th. Community movers and shakers gathered for the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce monthly Good Morning Springfield networking a breakfast in the new gymnasium at Pipkin Middle School, which is officially opening for students later this month. Many attendees were eager to support students in the new reading program. Lathan said that 69% of fourth grade students in the U.S. are reading below grade level, and 2/3 of students who cannot read proficiently by the end of fourth grade will end up in jail or on welfare. These numbers are staggering and highlighting the reason we focus on literacy as a key priority at SPS, Lathan said. And here we have a photo of 417 Reads, a literacy program started by the school district. And we have folks sitting around a coffee table with a little book box with books inside of it that say 417 Reads on it. And it looks like they also have their coffee cups as well. 417 Reads will impact 1,600 SPS third graders in the 2026-2027 school year if 75 people volunteer to be mentors through the program, Lathan said. She later announced that over 110 people at Good Morning Springfield had filled out volunteer interest forms on the spot. That's very heartwarming. Mentors with 417 Reads will read aloud to third grader students once every month during the school year. Students will also receive sturdy boxes for books that can become small take-home libraries. The program, which is in partnership with Scholastic, may be expanded to serve fourth grade students if the district receives support from enough volunteers, Lathan said. And here we have a photo of a couple of Pipkin students gathered inside their library. Looks like they're chatting around some of the bookshelves. In addition to Pipkin Middle School, SPS is opening up another brand new facility for the 26-27 year. Reed Academy, the district is also getting started on a few other construction projects funded by the Proposition S that passed with strong support from voters in 2023. SPS broke ground on 2 construction projects this summer for the new Bissett Elementary and Pershing Middle Schools, and at 5:30 p.m. on August 6th, SPS will break ground on the new Bingham Elementary, marking the final construction project in a $220 million bond package approved by voters in 2023. Lathan said SPS is keeping its promises by transforming our district learning environment and achieving it on time and on budget, thanks to residents' ongoing support of Proposition S. In addition to the emphasis on literacy with 417 Reads, Lathan shared 5 other focus areas the district will prioritize in the 26-27 school year. Customer service for SPS parents, students, and other community members. Opportunity for expansion through more transportation opportunities and a new outdoor pursuits for students. Digital citizenship with a new comprehensive technology plan that will set a clear roadmap for digital tools, AI, and academic integrity in the classroom. A facility master plan update which will look ahead at the next decade, and academics and workforce readiness programs, including partnerships with local businesses. SPS touts opportunity expansion. Lathan said transportation expansion is part of the district's focus on opportunities for students this year. SPS began a 3-year plan in 2025 to make its school bus system more efficient and responsive. We're further expanding our school busing capabilities so more students have reliable, safe access to specialized programs. Removing transportation barriers for students who attend choice programs is one more example of how SPS opens doors to opportunities. The superintendent also highlighted the Outdoor Pursuits program, a semester-long opportunity launching in August for high school juniors and seniors. Participants from all 5 SPS high schools will be able to learn outdoor skills and potentially earn credentials, including safety-related certifications and hunting or fishing licenses. Through expanding access and visionary programs like Outdoor Pursuits, we're redefining what public education can look like for one student, one choice, and one opportunity at a time, Lathan said. And here we have the health department reports a spike in Greene County's cyclosporesis cases. Say that 5 times fast. Springfield-Greene County Health Department typically sees fewer than 10 cases a year. This year alone, there have been 50. Greene County saw an increase in cyclosporesis cases over the month of July, according to a media release from Springfield-Greene County Health Department, and Missouri is included on an expanded list of states impacted by the outbreak. The health department typically investigates less than 10 cases of cyclosporesis in a year. So far in 2026, there have been 50 cases. 43 of those cases were reported in July alone. In several states, including Missouri, cyclosporesis cases have been linked to an iceberg lettuce from Taylor Farms de Mexico. In July, Taylor Farms issued a voluntary recall of iceberg lettuce products. Missouri was included in the recall, and the county's health inspectors made sure affected products were removed from store shelves and restaurants in Greene County, according to the release. And what is cyclosporesis? Cyclosporesis is an infection caused by the microscopic Cyclospora parasite. The parasite can infect humans through eating food or drinking water contaminated with the parasite. Common symptoms of cyclosporesis include, and not fun, watery diarrhea, loss of appetite, cramping, bloating and increased gas, nausea, and fatigue. It can take up to 2 weeks for symptoms to develop after consuming a contaminated product. Without treatment, symptoms can last for more than 1 month. Cyclosporesis can be treated with antibiotics, commonly known by brand names Bactrim, Septrim, or Cotrim. If you think you have cyclosporesis, please contact your healthcare provider. You may need to request testing, as routine stool tests don't always screen for the parasite. If you test positive for cyclosporesis, you may be contacted by health department with questions about your exposure. These case investigations help identify the source of an outbreak and can help prevent further spread. And I'm sure you're asking, how to prevent cyclosporesis at home? Because the parasite is so small, it can't be completely removed from a product like lettuce or other fresh produce by washing it. The best way to remove the parasite from food is to cook it at least 158 degrees. When the increase in cyclosporesis cases in Greene County, the health department is cautioning the community about consuming potentially contaminated food products without additional precautions. Past cyclosporesis outbreaks have been linked to salad greens, cilantro, basil, raspberries, green onions, and snow peas. And here we're going to talk a little bit what happened this day in history. Back in 1782, George Washington creates the Purple Heart. On August 7th, 1782, in Newburgh, New York, General George Washington, the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, creates the Badge for Military Merit, a decoration consisting of a purple heart-shaped piece of silk edged with a narrow binding of silver with the word merit stitched across the face in silver. It would become widely known as the Purple Heart. The badge was to be presented to soldiers for any singular meritorious actions and permitted its wearer to pass guards and centennials without challenge. The honoree's name and regiment were also to be inscribed in a book of merit. Washington's Purple Heart was awarded to only 3 known soldiers during the Revolutionary War: Elijah Churchill, William Brown, and Daniel Bissell Jr. The Book of Merit was lost and the decoration was largely forgotten until 1927 when General Charles P. Summerall, the U.S. Army Chief of Staff, sent an unsuccessful draft bill to Congress to revive the badge of military merit. In 1931, Summerall's successor, General Douglas MacArthur, took up the cause, hoping to reinstate the medal in time for bicentennial of George Washington's birth. On February 22, 1932, Washington's 200th birthday, the U.S. War Department announced the creation of the Order of the Purple Heart. In addition to aspects of Washington's original design, the new Purple Heart also displays a bust of Washington and his coat of arms. The Order of the Purple Heart, the oldest American military decoration for military merit, is awarded to members of the U.S. Armed Forces who have been killed or wounded in action against an enemy. It is also awarded to soldiers who have suffered maltreatment as prisoners of war. Also on this day in history, we have Teddy Roosevelt nominated as Bull Moose candidate. U.S. forces invade the Guadalcanal. Norwegian explorer completes 4,300-mile ocean voyage in wooden raft. And then Eisenhower signs the Refugee Relief Act of 1953. And mysterious explosions in Colombia, with over 1,000 people being injured. All right, I'm sure you've been talking about this all week. Amendments 4 and 5 toppled at box office. Amendments 4 and 5, which were closely watched at the ballot box, both were voted down on Tuesday. Roughly 80% of statewide voters rejected Amendment 4, while Amendment 5 was opposed by approximately 83% of voters, according to the unofficial results posted by the Missouri Secretary of State's office. Amendment 4 would have required voter approval of citizen-initiated constitutional amendments through passage in all 8 of states' congressional districts, rather than requiring passage by a majority of voters. The measure additionally had language prohibiting foreign nationals and adversaries from spending to support or oppose ballot measures, and it would have added language regarding penalties for ballot initiatives' signature petition fraud, according to past reporting. Amendment 5 would have phased out the state income tax while setting the stage for lawmakers to expand sales and use taxes, Springfield Business Journal previously reported on. David Mitchell, professor of economics and director of the Bureau of Economic Research and Center for Economic Education at Missouri State University, told Springfield Business Journal that the ballot language for Amendment 5 was convoluted. I think they need more clarity for what they're trying to do, Mitchell said. It almost sounded like a blank check. I think it scared them. He said the model, taxing consumption, spending rather than income, has been successful in other states. Those states are growing by leaps and bounds, Mitchell said. Governor Mike Kehoe was one of the top proponents for phasing out the state's income tax. At the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce State of the State event last week, Kehoe devoted the last several minutes of his talk discussing the amendment. If we want more businesses, more families, more investment, and more reasons for our children and grandchildren to stay here, we need to have something like this as that reason. Our approach includes safeguards to ensure fiscal responsibility through triggered reductions. This is a revenue-neutral plan. Growth first, then tax cuts, because this has to be done deliberately, it has to be done responsibly, and it has to be done so it's sustainable. In a news release issued this morning, Kehoe said, "Our work is far from over, and I remain committed to working with the General Assembly in the years ahead on ways to continue cutting taxes, growing our state's economy, and pursuing conservative policies that help Missouri families keep more of what they earn." The nonprofit public policy analysis organization Missouri Budget Project said the measure amounted to a tax cut for the rich. Missourians saw through the bait and switch, said Amy Bolin, president and CEO of Missouri Budget Project, in a news release. Voters clearly chose to protect our schools and services over a tax cut for the rich. Missouri Realtors actively opposed Amendment 5 as well as Amendment 4, according to their website. Late last night, they posted a social media statement reading, in part, Missouri Realtors have delivered a decisive victory on Amendments 4 and 5 with a huge support from all corners of the state. Thank you all who put in time and effort to stand with Missouri homeowners and vote down the amendments this year. In terms of campaign contributions, the Realtors gave $2.8 million to Missourians for fair taxation to oppose Amendment 5 and donated $4.4 million to Missourians for fair governance to defeat Amendment 4, according to election night reporting by the Missouri Independent. Mitchell of MSU also weighed in on Amendment 4 as well. He said it's his belief that the Constitution is too easy to change. It was convoluted too, he said, of the ballot language. They need to keep things simpler. Voters Coalition, which describes itself as a statewide grassroots cross-partisan movement, was in favor of the amendment failing at the ballot box. Missouri sent a strong message in today's election by rejecting Amendments 4, officials said in the news release. Voters deserve a fair process and the ability to make decisions without politicians standing in the way. The Greater Springfield Board of Realtors also opposed Amendment 4. Brent Sager of Branson, president-elect of Missouri Realtors, said in a recent news conference held by GSBOR that he sees the imitative petition process as the cornerstone of democracy. Amendment 4 wipes that out, he said. It says that no longer do the majority of people rule. When was the last time that you know of that urban areas and rural areas voted the same? It almost never happens. Amendment 1, a 10-year renewal of a .01 sales and the use of tax for soil and water conservation and to fund state parks and historic sites, and Amendment 2, which would require charter counties to provide for the election of a county assessor, both passed at the box office. Amendment 1 received roughly 82% in favor at the box office, according to unofficial election results posted by the Missouri Secretary of State's office. Amendment 2 won with a nearly 77% approval. We are very honored Missouri voters demonstrated their confidence in the Missouri Department of Natural Resources to protect their state parks, historic sites, water quality, and soil resources, said Kurt Schaefer, director of the department, in a news release about Amendment 1. Amendment 2 applies to charter counties that appoint their own assessors. Jackson County, which comprises much of Kansas City, is reportedly the only impacted county. Greene County Clerk Shane Scholler said turnout was slightly above 31%, which is consistent with elections in 2018 and 2020. He said turnout for August elections that focus solely on primary candidates typically, however, hover at or just above 20%, but when there are issues of interest on the ballot, including Amendments 4 and 5 this time, turnout tends to be closer to 30%. Here we have a European-style Christmas market coming to Branson. While Christmas isn't coming early to Branson this year, a new European-style market to celebrate the season will be making its debut over Thanksgiving weekend. Branson Christ Crindle Market, which organizers say is inspired by the festive atmosphere of traditional holiday village markets, is scheduled for November 27th through 29th and December 3rd through 6th and the 10th through 13th and 17th through 23rd at the Shops at Branson Meadows, 4562 Grenada Road. Admission is free to the Christmas market, which will transform the shopping center's parking lot into a space filled with lights, music, decorated vendor huts, and seasonal food and drinks, said Branson Christ Crindle Market founder Jenny Caro. Caro said she took inspiration for her new adventure from her family's visit to Christmas markets last year in Vienna, Austria, and Budapest, Hungary. We fell in love with them, wandering around in the chilly air, drinking hot mulled wine, and looking at all kinds of special gifts. I couldn't believe there wasn't a Christmas market like that in Branson, so I had the crazy idea to start one. A curated collection of artisans and specialty vendors is planned to be on hand at the Branson Market, selling handcrafted gifts and holiday-themed products. Caro said she has nearly 20 vendors committed to and plans to have no more than 25 on board. Aside from the craft and gift vendors, she also said vendors will be able to enjoy seasonal foods, treats, including Wiener Schnitzel, German sausages, melted raclette cheese, chimney cakes, roasted chestnuts, and chocolates. Beverage offerings planned include mulled wine, beer, hot chocolate, cider, and other traditional holiday drinks served in collectible Branson Christkindl Market branded mugs. Vendor fees range from $750 to $2,000 based on the size of space rented, Caro said. Non-food vendors will be expected to pay 10% of gross sales, while food vendors will pay about 15%, according to the market's website. The vendor fee is considered a non-refundable deposit towards the percentage. Caro said the for-profit venture is registered with the Secretary of State's office as Retail Intuition LLC, but added that she and her husband John may seek nonprofit status in the future. The couple also co-own Table Rock Jewelry Appraisals, which they launched in 2023 through the same LLC. Caro said the Christmas market is being funded through the couple's years working in the jewelry business. The Caros retired to Table Rock Lake area in 2020 after selling Jewelry by Designs, the business they owned in Woodbridge, Virginia, for about 30 years. The couple are drawing from the sale of the venture 6 years ago to support Branson Christkindl Market, Caro said, estimating startup costs will be between $100,000 to $150,000. It's our retirement money, basically, she said. I'm not expecting to break even this year. It's a risk for sure. Custom-built vendor huts comprise the majority of the upfront costs, Caro said, noting most of them will be 10 by 20 foot structures that should cost around $6,000 each to build. The huts will also be able to be disassembled and stored flat for future market considerations. Additionally, smaller custom-built huts and tents will be available for rent. Heather Herman, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer with the Branson Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau, said Caro first mentioned her interest in bringing the market concept to Branson back in March. Herman said she's also visited many Christmas markets in Europe and so quickly understood Caro's vision. The idea seems attainable, Herman said. I thought it was something that could be explored immediately, starting with this Christmas season, Herman said, adding the CBB annually promotes the holiday season through its promotion dubbed Ozark Mountain Christmas. Ozark Mountain Christmas dates back to 1988, according to the website of the Branson Chamber and CBB, and runs annually from November 1st through early January. We're always looking for something new and different to bring visitors and encourage them to stay longer, so it just made sense. The Branson CBB, as well as the Branson West-based Table Rock Lake Chamber of Commerce, have both helped promote the event. Caro said Herman said she also connected Caro to the Branson Christmas Coalition, a 501c4 nonprofit organization whose mission is to help inspire, encourage, and implement high-quality holiday season experiences and visual presentations that increase visitation to the region. It was thought that Caro was able to obtain a 26-foot Christmas tree on loan from the organization that will serve as the market's centerpiece. I'm so excited to have it, but now I've got to figure out how the heck to decorate a 26-foot Christmas tree that has to have ornaments that are the size of a small table. Market turnout estimates are a bit difficult to predict for a first-time event that stretches over 18 days. Caro said, adding she's heard predictions from others ranging between 20,000 to 50,000. My goal is to have just a wonderful place that families can go that is very accessible, she said. Branson's reputation as a place that embraces Christmas made it an easier decision for Caro to act on her vision. I wouldn't have ever tried this somewhere else, but I knew I could just kind of plug it into what is already going on, she said. I'm sure my husband and I will probably make a trip down as well. And here we have the Story House Bookstore seeks liquor license. And here we have a bright photo of the Story House Bookstore on historic Walnut Street. Owners of the Story House Bookstore LLC want to be able to pour customers a glass of wine or beer during special events. The business at 1150 East Walnut Street opened in mid-November and recently applied for a liquor license. It would be mostly for our events. We're not looking to create a bar or to be open until 1 a.m., co-owner Penny Scroggs said in an interview. We're looking to have some offerings for our book clubs that are in here in the evenings and just the other events that we have. We're getting ready to do an expansion. Signs posted on the property as part of the application process spell out that the owners of nearby land zones for single-family or two-family residential use have the right to protest the use within 21 days of the July 24, 2026 application. The deadline would be August 14th. Story House was started in a 3,400 square foot residence built in 1905 just west of National Avenue. The former home of Pagination Bookshop LLC, and the new business is owned by Scroggs and her brother Michael Bruner, along with friend Arthur Marks. The venture is a community-focused verbal and visual art center serving as an independent bookstore, event center, and art gallery, mostly celebrating artists and themes from the Ozarks, according to previous reports by the Springfield Business Journal. Scroggs said the public notices posted on the property are the beginning of a multi-step process to obtain a liquor license. The signs explain the business wants to provide retail beer and light wine by drink. Scroggs said they want to be able to provide alcohol during in-house workshops for writers, painters, and other artists, in addition to book clubs. She said the company's events have been successful, and foot traffic to the bookstore has increased in nearly 9 months since the doors opened. We started to focus a lot more on author events coming up, she said. In addition to local customers, Scroggs said the store has been visited by travelers passing through Springfield. We actually have a lot of people come from out of town. It's very popular for people to visit independent bookstores when they're traveling, Scroggs said. We started to even have people come in specifically for the bookstore. We're slowly becoming a little bit of a destination spot. Scroggs said plans to add a small coffee shop are progressing, and the owners hope to have that open by early fall. And here I'm going to read this week's obituaries. On Monday, August 3rd, we have Charles R. Chuck Livieri, and full obituary service times are at gormanshopf.com, and that is spelled GORMANSCHARPF.com. Wednesday, August 5th, 2026, we have Ronald Robert Perry, age 89, of Springfield, Missouri. Ronald Robert Perry, age 89, of Springfield, Missouri, passed away on June 1st, 2026, at the Missouri Veterans Home, Mount Vernon, Missouri. Ron was born to Judson Leroy Perry and Sarah Mae Hodge Perry on August 23rd, 1936, in Youngstown, Ohio. And it looks like services will be at Green Lawn Funeral Home South. We also have Chester D. MacArthur, 95, of Springfield, Missouri, passed away August 5th of 2026. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. Services on August 21st at 11 a.m. and visitation from 10 to 11 a.m. Peggy Jane Humbird Trotter from Ash Grove, Missouri, 79, passed away August 4th, 2026. Arrangements provided by the Greenfield Funeral Home Chapel. And we have Conrad Klein, 85 of Everton, Missouri, passed away August 4th, 2026. Arrangements provided by the Wilson Griffin Funeral Home in Ash Grove, Missouri. Services on August 10th, 10 a.m. at Sinking Creek Cemetery. Thursday, August 6th, we have Barbara J. Bay Barnes, age 93, from Springfield, Missouri. Barbara J. Barnes, 93, of Springfield, passed away peacefully at her home on Tuesday, August 4th. She will have funeral services at the Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. And then we have Charlotte Joan Hunter Dowell, age 86, Springfield, Missouri. Charlotte Joan Hunter Dowell of Springfield, Missouri entered heaven on August 4th, 2026. And she was born on May 17th, 1940 in Boger, Texas. And her funeral services will be hosted at Green Lawn Funeral Home North. Many condolences to all the family. Children's Mercy with Mercy plans December opening for O'Reilly Pediatric Center. Members of the media yesterday were invited to sneak a peek of the O'Reilly Pediatric Center, a joint project between Mercy Springfield Communities and Kansas City-based Children's Mercy. The Pediatric Outpatient Center is located on Mercy's South Campus that also includes its orthopedic hospital and a new emergency room. The price of the pediatric facility was previously projected at $30 million. The two-story, 40,000 square foot pediatric facility is slated for completion in December, said Debbie Schwarzkopf, the joint venture's chief administrative officer. The facility was announced in November 2025 that the O'Reilly family came on as a lead donor less than a month later. We wanted to create a space that's truly built for kids and really family-centered in how we're delivering the care here, Schwarzkopf said. Schwarzkopf said the entire facility has children and families in mind. She pointed the 120 square foot exam rooms that have distraction therapies as example. The goal too is to get families in and out quickly. Our intent is that families aren't sitting and waiting, Schwarzkopf said. The O'Reilly Pediatric Center will have multiple specialties, including cardiology, pulmonology, and neurology. It is built for families, and Schwarzkopf also added that when viewed from above, the facility will be in the shape of a dancing baby, which is Children's Mercy's logo. Snyder Construction Group, LLC, is serving as the general contractor for the facility, designed by HDR Engineering Incorporated, according to past reporting. And things to do this week in Springfield, Missouri. Somehow, we're already looking at Summer's First Friday Art Walk, one of the final movies in the park and the birthplace of Route 66 Festival, a fitting reminder that America's most famous highway was created right here in Springfield. And Missouri's tax-free weekend for back-to-school shopping, and there's no denying it. August is officially here. Meanwhile, our family's epic 6-week road trip was winding down. It's been almost entirely, amazingly, without issue. But over the past few days, we've had to pivot and reroute several times to avoid expanding wildfire closures in the west. My prayers are with the people, animals, and firefighters facing those fires firsthand. Travel has a funny way of teaching both perspectives and flexibility. You can map out every excursion, mile, but sometimes life simply has other plans. And while we've been primarily camping in places like Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and the Dakotas, I find myself being extra vigilant about campfire safety and extra grateful for something as simple as clean clothes. Back home, National Night Out brings neighbors and first responders together, and next week's peak of the Perseid meteor shower offers an excuse to stay up late before school starts. Here's to squeezing every last adventure out of summer weather across the country or under the Ozark sky. And today, Friday, August 7th, is First Friday Art Walk in downtown Springfield. Completely free for you to roam around downtown Springfield from 6 to 10 p.m. Downtown becomes one giant gallery during First Fridays with numerous venues displaying art in various mediums. In addition to more traditional art, enjoy live music, fashion, and food across 20 plus businesses, including the Galois Theater, MSU's Brick City Gallery, and Crematory Arts Center, and others. Next to Nashville, Black Oak Amphitheater. Admission is $30 to $60 starting at 7 p.m. Come watch Nashville's next hottest band. 4 bands, Clay Clear Band, Johnny Lackey and the Pocket Aces, 7 South, and Jacob Smalley and Morgan County Line will compete head-to-head with a 45-minute set judged by a panel of industry professionals. The winner will perform on Nashville's Lower Broadway. Movie night at the Amp Zootopia. J.R. Martin Park, Republic, $2 with pre-registration and $3 at the park. Starting at 8:30 p.m., but activities start at 7, so be sure to show up early. The AMP at J.R. Martin Park will host an outdoor screening of Zootopia. Arrive early for activities including themed games, concessions, and vendors, and pack a chair or blanket to sit on. The movie will start at sunset, and tickets include 1 free popcorn. And then we also have the First Friday Art Walk in the gallery at Galois Theater starting at 6 p.m. Head up to the 2nd floor of the Galois Theater to see exhibits from Galois resident company, grab a cocktail or beer, mingle, and stick around afterwards for live jazz session by Mojo. Birthplace of Route 66 Festival is citywide and completely free. 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. both today and tomorrow. This completely free event includes classic car and motorcycle shows, a lineup of concerts, a vendor village, loads of giveaways, freestyle moto jump shows, and so much more, with events taking place across the city. Runs through the end of tomorrow. Dustin Nickerson, Springfield Comedy Club, tickets starting at $28, starting at 7 p.m. today and 8 p.m. tomorrow. Although he describes himself as the world's most average person, Dustin Nickerson's debut comedy special, Overwhelmed, is one of Amazon Prime Video's highest rated specials. He's also been on dozens of TV shows and authored the book How to Be Married to Melissa. And then tomorrow, August 8th, we have On the Lawn, Springfield Art Museum from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. All ages welcome to drop by Springfield Art Museum's Hatch Lawn for a morning of free immersive art and wellness activities. Take a yoga session with the Wellness Collective, play yard games, do a nature art activity, and catch live music. Bring a lawn chair, blanket, or yoga mat, and snacks and water. Juvenile at the Regency Live, general admission tickets starting at $58, 9 p.m., but the doors open at 8. He's behind some of the catchiest rap and hip-hop songs of the late 90s and 2000s, and now you can catch him on a stage in an intimate setting. Sing along to your favorites and be prepared to have some new ones stuck in your head for days. And then at Thunder Ridge Nature Arena, Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. Tickets starting at $28 with a chair rental, starting at 8:30 p.m. It's an outdoor movie night on the really big scale. Catch a special screening of the 1980 classic from the beautiful Thunder Ridge Nature Arena under the stars. Bring a blanket or rent a lawn chair in advance for just a few dollars. And then this Sunday, we have tea time at the Marley House. Finley Farms, this is for ages 7 and up, and admission starts at $35. Session runs at 11 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Indulge in a summer high tea service at the historic Marley House, built in the 1800s and beautifully preserved. Snack on a traditional tower of bite-sized sweet and savory goodies alongside Phoenix Tea Company. And then early next week, we have the National Night Out at Meador Park from 5 to 7 p.m. Come out to Springfield's version of this annual community building event focused on promoting healthy relationships between the community and the folks who keep it safe. Enjoy free hot dogs, chips, and treats, kids' activities, a Springfield police drone demonstration, pickleball, and exploring fire and police vehicles. And if you want a couple of fun places to go out and eat this weekend, we have My Big Fat Greek Night at Greek Belly in Springfield. And we start with a photo of the table at Greek Belly with the Prometheus Feast, pita wraps, feta fries, Dunkin' Dip, drunken dip, and the city Greek salad, and it looks like a feast with friends type of night. When a meal ends with sounds of peeling laughter and shattering ceramic as a restaurant's worth of diners rise to the feet to throw plates to the ground, you know it's been a joyous and slightly raucous night. The breaking of plates tradition is how Greek Belly ends their famously fun My Big Fat Greek Night events. It's the final burst of a growing energy that builds throughout the evening. Of course, it all begins with food. Throughout 4 courses, guests tried the best for the owner, John Tassardi's Greek fare, from a family-style appetizer platter to a Greek salad, entree of your choice, and a dessert. As the food rolls out, so does the entertainment. A belly dancer weaves her way through the eatery, interacting with guests as she goes and even inviting some of their feet to learn her signature moves. It's close quarters inside Greek Belly's tiny restaurant space, which shrinks a little more as servers squeeze through with plate after plate of food, and the belly dancer twirls her energy around every table. And that just adds to the communal experience. Elbow to elbow with your fellow diners begins to feel like your neighbors by the end of the night, which is capped by those breaking plates and shouts of "Opa!" We've seen My Big Fat Greek Night events pop up on Greek Belly's calendar sporadically. They've taken place here and there and all throughout the year in the past. The best way to make sure it lands on your own agenda is to follow Greek Belly on Facebook, where they post event information. We promise you it's worth the effort of hunting it down. And another place to eat this weekend, we have Finley Farms Farm to Bridge dinners in Ozark, Missouri. And we have a beautiful photo of tables and plates and all sorts of cutlery lined up on the Finley Farm Bridge. If I could recommend just one experience to someone visiting 417 land for the first time, it would be a farm to bridge dinner at Finley Farms. This event showcases so many things that I love about the Ozarks. We're talking food made with produce grown right here, good company, historic structures with a story, and a canopy of trees, rolling river waters, luminous fireflies, and air that's so fresh you'll want to bottle it up. The team at Finley Farms has been offering these events multiple times a year since 2023, and still, each event sells out. Although I've attended multiple of these dinners, the first one I went to will always stick out to me the most. It was late May, and just at one glance, the menu before ordering our tickets made it clear they were planning on taking full advantage of the flowers, herbs, and produce that were entering their prime. Reading through the course descriptions made my mouth water. A gem lettuce salad with marinated blackberries, Terrell Creek Farm chervil, and a wildflower honey vinaigrette, a country fried quail with roasted corn, and Shishito's summer squash gratin with chimichurri. The list went on. The evening kicked off with a cocktail hour, and they served us a lemon-forward spritz garnished with fresh sprigs of chamomile, lavender, and violet. As we conversed, waiters walked around with hors d'oeuvres plated on wooden boards and silver trays. The crowd spilled into the green area next to the river, and couples posed for photos with the iconic circa 1909 Riverside Bridge, all set for the dinner in the background. While the sun was still shining bright at the bridge when we first arrived, it was shaded by the time we took our place on the tables. I can't quite help but think that the timing was a thoughtful touch that resulted from perfect intentional planning. They served each course family-friendly, and even the smoked pork shoulder was garnished with a lovely orange flower. The waitstaff was attentive to our beverage needs and was on standby to top off our water and pour each of the wine pairings. Dessert arrived at our table right after sunset, and the string of lights overhead illuminated us as we enjoyed our buttermilk panna cotta, which featured a delightful hint of honeysuckle. I left full, content, and more grateful than ever to call this little corner of the Midwest my home. Keep an eye on finleyfarmsmo.com/happenings for the next Farm to Bridge dinner. And here we have National Today. What fun holidays are happening today? Today we have Aged Care Employee Day. We have the Brom Pie Day, Cycle to Work Day, National Lighthouse Day, National Raspberry and Creams Day, National Sea Serpent Day, National Water Balloon Day, National Purple Heart Day, thank you George Washington, and National Professional Speakers Day. Missouri Secretary of State blocks redistricting referendum drawing lawsuit. Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins blocked a public vote on the state's new congressional map Tuesday, August 4th, declaring a referendum petition unconstitutional a few hours before polls closed in the primary election. He refused to tell reporters at Jefferson City press conference whether the petition had enough valid signatures to qualify for the November ballot. It didn't matter, he said, because the Missouri Constitution does not allow a referendum on redistricting. Whether they had one signature or 500 million signatures doesn't really matter because they are unconstitutional, Hoskins said at a news conference. Excuse me. And here we have a photo of Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. He said 2 measures proposed by petition to force a referendum. And he is at the stand looking a little perturbed. The Political Action Committee, People Not Politicians, turned in more than 300,000 signatures in December, and local election authorities spent hundreds of hours verifying whether the people who signed were registered voters. Hoskins also rejected a proposed constitutional amendment to limit legislative power to change measures passed by initiative. That proposal, which would have been Amendment 6 on the November 3rd ballot, violates the requirements that ballot measures be limited to a single subject and amend only one article of the Constitution. The Respect Mo Voters Committee also submitted more than 300,000 signatures, and Hoskins declined to disclose that count as well. Hoskins' decision brought an immediate court challenge from People Not Politicians. It will be the final case in the seemingly endless legislation whether Missouri's gerrymandering redistricting plan will be subject to a referendum. The Missouri's Constitution referendum power does not contemplate a vote on redistricting plans, Hoskins said. The U.S. Constitution, he said, gives state legislators the power to set the rules for congressional elections, and a referendum would violate that. Hoskins' announcement came on the last day he had legally to rule on whether measures submitted by petition will be on the November 3rd ballot. He said he waited because he wanted every possible bit of information before making a decision. According to Missouri state law, I had until today at 5 p.m. to certify those signatures, Hoskins said. As a certified public accountant, I want to make sure all of my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. After meeting with reporters, Hoskins released opinion letters from Attorney General Catherine Hanaway laying out the legal reasoning for rejecting the petitions. On the referendum, Hanaway wrote that the state constitution is silent on authority for a referendum. In order to authorize such referenda, the Missouri Constitution would need to speak through a clear statement divesting the legislative of its authority under the U.S. Constitution's Elections Clause, Hanaway wrote. But the Missouri Constitution includes no such clear statement. People Not Politicians Executive Director Richard Von Glan filed the lawsuit in Cole County Circuit Court late Tuesday. Secretary of State Hoskins is making the last desperate attempt to silence people's voices in Missouri, Von Glan said in a news release. We fought back against politicians for the last year, and we won't stop now. The petition has enough signatures to make the ballot, and the courts will uphold the referendum power for redistricting, said Von Glan. People will have the final say in November and the chance to vote no to politicians' desperate power grabs, he said. The Democratic leader in the Missouri House, State Representative Ashley Aun of Kansas City, said Hoskins is showing he is a Republican partisan, not an impartial official. Every step of the way, Denny Hoskins has engaged in obstruction and dishonesty to stop Missourians from exercising their constitutional right to decide whether the mid-decade partisan gerrymandering Republicans forced through the last year should become law. As a result, his latest action of contempt against Missouri voters should surprise no one and provides further proof that he is unfit to serve as the state's top election official. The lawsuit filed Tuesday is simple. It argues that Hoskins is wrong and the Constitution does not prohibit a referendum. Only appropriation bills and laws enacted on an emergency basis are exempt, the petition states. The redistricting plan falls into neither of those categories, it argues. In previous legislation over the congressional map, the Missouri Supreme Court has upheld Governor Mike Kehoe's power to convene with the legislature in a special session. The legislature's authority to revise the map at any time and the constitutionality of the map as a basis for elections. It has not ruled on any question of whether the Constitution allows a referendum. In a May ruling, the court hinted that it finds the referendum power applies, the map would have never taken effect, meaning Tuesday's primary was conducted in a district boundaries that were never legal. Because the Secretary's certification process is ongoing and has not been finally determined, it is impossible to say of this opinion whether the December 9th referendum petition filing was legal, sufficient, and timely, and therefore whether the 2025 map went into effect on December 11th or whether the map was referred to the people as of December 9th and can only go into effect when approved by a majority of the votes cast thereon, Judge Ginger Gooch wrote. In the case over the legislature's authority to revise the map, opponents said because the Constitution doesn't explicitly allow it, lawmakers did not have the authority. The High Court rejected that argument. Hoskins argued the same silence in the Constitution cuts the other way on referendums, and the absence of explicit authority means one is not allowed. He said he did not see a parallel between the two provisions of the Constitution and its silence on a key point. Here we're trying to compare apples to oranges, Hoskins said. Also, the Constitution doesn't say that Denny Hoskins should make $1 million a year absent that. So I would disagree with that analysis, and I would say that the Constitution does not specifically say that a referendum or an initial petition can be done on congressional redistricting. And here we have Christmas all year, a Springfield woman dedicates her career to photographing Santa Claus. The thermometer might say 90 degrees outside, but it feels like late December inside Santa's 417 workshop here in Springfield. And here we have a photo of Jessica Lamb's studio, and it seems like Christmas all year here. We have Santa Claus and 3 young kids getting ready for their photographs with cookies and milk. It's midsummer in Springfield, and temperatures are routinely reaching the mid to upper 90s. Tucked away in one of the city's many commercial industrial locations, however, it's a little bit of winter. Walk into Santa's 417 workshop, and you find yourself in the middle of Christmas in July. The highly stylized studio is the latest stop in Jessica Lamb's career as a professional photographer. Starting at 19 years old, salesperson in the Dillard's photo studio at Battlefield Mall, she would approach potential customers with a pitch that she can still rattle off unprompted. She now offers 3 different types of photo sessions in her 15,000 square foot creative workspace. From January to August, she is focused on sessions with gentlemen who portray Santa. Then come sessions for families with Santa from September to Christmas. She also continues to offer high school senior sessions, family photos, and children's portraits throughout the year. In 1991, Dillard Studio did not offer extravagant Christmas-themed photo packages, but the mall had a centrally located Santa station during the holiday season where shoppers could bring their children for visits and photos. I would walk by and I would look at the set and I would say, gosh, that's a really beautiful set, but the only part that they're photographing is the back of the chair. I would sit there and eat my lunch and watch them work with the kids just to get ideas. And here we have a very joyous looking Jessica Lamb taking photos in her specialized photographing Santa Claus back in 2009. Life events landed Lamb at photo jobs in Wichita, Kansas City, and ultimately Mountain Home, Arkansas, where she was an apprentice and second photographer at Ozarks Photographers for 3 years. Hoping to earn a business degree so she could open her own studio, Arkansas State University was her next stop. She ended up teaching a few photography classes at the school before returning to Springfield, still dreaming of striking out on her own. While working as a bartender at Betty's Billiards, a chance to encounter with a wealthy businessman landed her in a silent backer, allowing her to launch Lamb Portrait Studio in July of 1997. She operated under that name until 2012 when she rebranded as J. Rosa Photography. This year, she has returned to the name Lamb Portrait Studio and also operates separate businesses under the same roof as Holiday Photo Magic and Santa's 417 Workshop. One of her specialties during the time was what are now called mini sessions, seasonally themed monthly children's specials. In 2009, a client told Lamb about her disappointment with the photos that she got back from another local realtor business's holiday photo session with her child. It was the back of a chair and I kind of giggled, Lamb said, because I remembered that from the mall and I said, yeah, I know totally what you're talking about. And she goes, you should do Santa Claus. I didn't even know where to find a Santa. And here we have a photo of Lamb adjusting a Santa's cap at the Spangle, also known as Spangle the Clown, and she is readjusting his cap to make sure the photo looks good. The client told Lamb, well, I know a guy that does Santa. His name is Spangle the Clown. 17 years later, Spangle the Clown, his legal name, is still Lamb's go-to Santa Claus. Spangle praises Lamb's skills, calling her one of the top photographers of children and Santas. He still works with her early in the season as they both freshen their portfolios for the holidays. Appreciative of her storytelling approach, Spangle noted, we've worked together long enough that we know what we are each looking for, and that has made our work seamless. Her friendship with Spangle has also brought Lamb into contact with the larger Santa community. In 2016, he suggested she bring one of her sets to a gathering of nearly 1,000 Santas in Branson. Part school on how to be successful Santa and part trade show, Lamb was reluctant at first. I kept saying, that's a lot of money. $700 to set up a booth? What am I going to photograph? Who am I going to photograph? I mean, there's no children. You want me to photograph Santa? Well, yeah, Santas need headshots for business cards and stuff like that, Spangle said. I had a Santa Claus come up to me and said that he was fresh in the business, had never worked as a Santa before, and just bought his first suit, and was here at the show. I asked him, what kind of business card do you want to make? And he goes, I don't know. What ideas do you have? I rattled off 10 on the top of my head, and he goes, I want to do all of those. Why not? I'm here. I've got my suit. Why not? So we went ahead and did the session. Behind me in the middle of the room, I want to say 4 rows deep, all these Santas watching me. I booked 35 Santa sessions for the rest of the weekend. That experience right there gave me a year's worth of income. Lamb offers several options for Santas. She will build full presentation packages that Santas from across the country use to promote their own businesses. Using an assortment of Photoshop tools and techniques, she adds special effects like swirls and sparkles of light, as well as richly saturating colors to enhance sharpness. Lamb calls these illustrative storytelling photographs. It typically takes an hour's work on each file to be completed to Lamb's satisfaction. In the years since, Lamb has continued to attend the workshops primarily to advertise her services as well as to instruct Santas on their finer points and of posing and the complexities of photo rights and social media issues. However, she no longer brings a set with her, confident that the Springfield studio, with its elaborate staging, offers what she calls a more immersive experience. Indeed, it does. In May, the Springfield Daily Citizen visited the studio while Lamb ran Spangle and Kathleen Thompson as Miss Claus, and Lamb's assistant Rihanna rules children through one of the thoughtfully scripted sessions that she offers for families. The three children excitedly entered the studio to find themselves greeted by Mrs. Claus, who led them to a cookie decorating station where they were soon joined by Santa. A stop in Santa's fully decorated living room to share wish lists led to a letter writing station, and then an opportunity to build some small toys at a workbench with his old elf and his wife before making one final stop for a sleigh ride complete with 4 reindeer figurines. A photo session like this with multiple setups for a family yields an unedited digital file of every photo Lamb makes and costs $595. The unedited files are suitable for viewing on a phone or making a 4x6-inch prints. Families typically choose favorites that will then be edited and prepared for larger printing. Depending on the size desired, those files cost between $95 and $200 each. Unless the customer wants to pay extra, those pictures do not receive the illustrative storytelling makeover. So why Santa Claus? What drives and motivates a 54-year-old woman to make a niche for herself in the competitive world of studio photography by specializing in portraits featuring an imaginary being? Lamb's answer tumbles out in a blizzard of words. "Oh my gosh, the kids," she said. "When you see a child and their face lights up when they meet Santa, and when Santa gets to really feel like the heart of Santa, that's the greatest part." There's a special place for Santa in the women who wear a t-shirt. There's a special place for Santa in the women who wear a t-shirt embezzled with the words, "I believe." I love bringing Santa Claus to life for a gentleman, and that is for a gentleman that has dedicated his heart and his livelihood to doing this. When they're here, they get to be Santa Claus, Lamb said. They are Santa Claus's role in society. He's not just playing Santa, he is representing Santa. He's representing just like the pastor is representing the church and the Bible. Santa is taking on this role and the responsibility for that character. He represents what encompasses everything that Santa stands for. He teaches kindness, virtue, great grace, doing your best, and being good to others. And I've got a quick one before we end today's session. From the ground up, Fisk Transportation LLC headquarters at 3601 East Chestnut Expressway. And here we have a photo of some heavy machinery building a small building. The estimated completion is March 2027, and the size of the building is 17,500 square feet. And the cost is about $3 million, with the lender being O'Bannon Bank. A new headquarters is in the works for Fisk Transportation LLC on East Chestnut Expressway near its interchange with U.S. Highway 65. Barrett Fisk, manager of the company and son and owners of J. Howard and Jan Fisk, is serving as construction manager for the project, and he said completion is anticipated in the first quarter of 2027. The new facility will replace the current headquarters at 2001 East Trafficway Street with room for its 75 vehicle fleet and its 50 employees, according to the past Springfield Business Journal reporting. Thank you so much for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store Radio Reading Service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kHz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving pre-programmed radio.